Nutrient timing involves a purposeful ingestion of certain macronutrients or foods at different times of the day, usually protein or carbs, in order to favorably impact the adaptive response to acute and chronic exercise. This is a topic that gets a lot of buzz in the fitness industry these days, and there are a variety of circulating recommendations that vary from goal to goal across different fitness professionals and influencers. But what timing strategies should you use in order to optimize your performance and your gains on your workouts? We will go over some general factors and recommendations surrounding this first, then dive into what the literature says about this topic for the purposes of muscle growth. There are two main factors to discuss when looking at the basics of nutrient timing. The first is meal frequency, and the second is timing intake around a training or activity. Let's look first at meal frequency. Meal frequency is commonly defined as the number of feeding episodes that take place in a given day. For years, recommendations have indicated increasing meal frequency may serve as an effective way to influence weight loss, weight maintenance, and body composition, mostly through claims of increased metabolism by lighting the metabolic fire. These assertions were based upon the work of Fabry and colleagues, who reported that mean skin fold thickness was inversely related to the frequency of meals. Furthermore, because it requires energy to digest and store nutrients, also known as dietary-induced thermogenesis, claims were made that the more often you eat, the more calories are burned through this process. Meal frequency is important when we consider the following facts. Primarily, that muscle breakdown and growth are continuous processes that occur over the course of the entire day. Better supply this process, it is generally recommended that we maintain a steady stream of nutrients. If nutrients, especially amino acids, are not present in the GI tract, they will be pulled from other tissues. So in order to grow muscle and spare muscle loss, we should consume a protein source more frequently, generally a range of 3 to 5 hours, as most food sources will clear the small intestine in this amount of time. Researchers have clearly illustrated that upon ingestion of a meal containing protein or amino acids, specifically leucine, serum levels of amino acids as well as MPS or muscle protein synthesis rates will rise and stay elevated for 3 to 5 hours depending on bolus size. Additionally, dietary-induced thermogenesis is not a reason to consume more meals, as it's the size of the meal that determines the metabolic increases, not their frequency. However, greater protein consumption within meals does appear to have a greater DIT or dietary-induced thermogenesis response compared to carbs and fats. The second factor, focusing on nutrient timing around a physical activity, is slightly different. A big focus here is that of providing proper energy sources prior to exercise. Generally, it is accepted that carbs pre-workout will fuel the central nervous system, top off your glycogen and blood glucose stores, and fuel optimal workout or training sessions while delaying the onset of fatigue. Intra-workout carbs are also an accepted form of properly implemented nutrient timing, as this further delays fatigue, particularly during long training sessions. Lastly, carb and protein intake post-workout has been shown to replenish glycogen stores, mute catabolism, and optimally activate anabolic pathways. Of important note here is the optimization of protein timing. It has been repeatedly recommended that consumption of protein should occur as close to post-workout as possible, and as time passes, we slowly lose optimal muscle protein synthesis rates. This theory has been hotly debated, however, with newer research showing the lack of evidence for the quote, anabolic window we all know. Instead, most research suggests that post-workout protein consumption should occur within 3 hours following your workout. So what does the body of research have to say when concerning nutrient timing and optimizing for both gains as well as performance? One study from Half et al. In 2000 involving pre-exercise and during exercise delivery of carbohydrate throughout a bout of exercise showed the ability to minimize the loss of muscle glycogen. Briefly, study participants were given a carbohydrate dose of 1 gram per kg pre-workout and 0.5 grams per kg of body weight every 10 minutes throughout a 40-minute resistance exercise bout, and found that muscle glycogen losses were reduced by 49% when compared to glycogen change within ingestion of a placebo drink. However, isokinetic muscle performance was not influenced. A small number of studies are available that examine the effect of ingesting carbohydrate plus protein before resistance exercise. For example, Kramer and colleagues had participants ingest a combination of carbohydrate, protein, and fat or an isoenergetic maltodextrin placebo for 7 days before 2 consecutive days of resistance exercise. On both occasions, the supplement was ingested 30 minutes before beginning the exercise bout, and the multi-nutrient supplement significantly improved vertical jump power and the number of repetitions performed at 80% of 1 RM. A similar outcome was reported by Beatty and colleagues, where they had 34 males complete an acute bout of heavy resistance exercise, consuming either a carbohydrate or a carbohydrate plus protein solution before, during, and after the exercise bout. While performance was not affected, significantly greater levels of insulin and lower levels of cortisol were found when the carbohydrate plus protein combination was ingested. Some more studies have examined the impact of solely ingesting protein after exercise. Tipton and colleagues used an acute model to determine changes in MPS rates when a 20-gram bolus of whey protein was ingested immediately before or immediately after a single bout of lower body resistance training. MPS rates were significantly and similarly increased under both conditions. Until recently, the only study that examined the effects of post-exercise protein timing in a longitudinal manner was the 2001 work of Esmark et al. In this study, 13 elderly men consumed a small combination of carbs and fat immediately within a 30-minute window or 2 hours after each bout of resistance exercise done 3 times per week for 12 weeks. Changes in strength and muscle size were measured, and it was concluded that ingesting nutrients immediately after each workout led to greater improvements in strength and muscle cross-sectional area than when these same nutrients were ingested 2 hours later. So what about some real-world application that you can take into the gym with your training and go through your day-to-day lives? Nutrient timing will matter the most during hypocaloric diets. So when you are in a caloric deficit and trying to lose weight, the appropriate nutrient timing can help maintain training performance and ensure the optimal recovery and MPS despite lower energy intake during these hypercaloric diets. Fats will delay nutrient absorption. This is one reason it was common to hear that you should not eat fats too close to your workout. So consume fattier foods away from workout times, as we want to optimize carbohydrate and protein uptake around these times. Eating carbs 1 to 4 hours before exercise should be sufficient to maintain exercise performance during shorter duration training sessions. Don't expect radical changes to occur with proper nutrient timing. This is a tool to be used in conjunction with proper nutrient intake, training, sleep, and supplementation. Optimal nutrient timing may account for no greater than 20% of overall dietary success. However, for more elite athletes or competitors, a 20% difference could likely be the difference between winning and losing. The use of a 20 to 40 gram dose of a high quality protein source that contains approximately 10 to 12 grams of the EAAs or essential amino acids maximizes MPS rates that remain elevated for 3 to 4 hours following exercise, making sure we're consuming quality protein post-exercise. This protein consumption during that peri-workout period is a pragmatic and sensible strategy for athletes, particularly those who perform high volume of exercises. Not consuming protein post-workout offers no benefits. The impact of delivering a dose of protein during the peri-workout period over the course of several weeks may operate as a strategy to heighten adaptations to exercise. Key factors that may influence the overall outcomes include one's total daily protein intake, an individual's training status, and when their last dose of protein was consumed. Like carbohydrates, timing-related considerations for protein appear to be of lower priority than the ingestion of optimal daily amounts of protein. That's all for this video, guys. There's a lot to digest here, pun intended, when discussing nutrient timing and the pertinent literature there. But I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, link any questions you have down in the comments for future videos. Stay tuned to our podcast, and we will see you next time.